Hey YNG, it's Maddie Ruiz from YNG News, and we're live in Sacramento with our 5 candidates running for our 70th Youth Governor, and we're just going to give them a quick little introduction.
Hello everyone, my name is Cole Cahill. I'm from the South Pasadena and San Marino delegation, and I'm running with the Sunrise Party to serve as your 70th Youth Governor.
Hey everyone, my name is Sydney Custer from the Newport Corona Del Mar delegation, running with the Delta Party to serve as your 70th Youth Governor.
Hello everyone, my name is Sinai Tasso from the Verdugo Hills Family YMCA, and I'm running with the Office Party to serve as your 70th Youth Governor.
Hey everyone, my name is Jeremy Becker from the Westside Family YMCA, and I'm running with the Launch Party to serve as your 78th Youth Governor.
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Kogan from the West Valley delegation of One Love, running unaffiliated to serve as your 70th Youth Governor.
Thank you guys. All right, so the structure of the debate today is everyone's going to start with a 1 minute introduction, and then each person will get a 2 minutes to answer a question and a 30-second rebuttal. All right, you can start with your introduction.
All right, great. So I'm so excited to be here talking to everyone here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Sunrise Party is and what I want to do with this program as Youth Governor. So the Sunrise Party and my platform really stands for racial equality, fighting for our environment, and excuse me, why am I just breaking out?
Okay.
Fighting for racial equality, fighting for our environment, and oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking out right now. Why is this happening to me? Just like everybody else. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this is happening to me right
Great.
now. I'm gonna take a second to debrief, and then I will come right back. I'm so sorry about this.
Hey guys, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my platform, my party's platform, and what I want to do for the program. So the Delta Party stands for education, women's rights, and pharmaceuticals. Our platform is mainly focused on 70% education, and I think this is the most important piece because education is the foundation of California. I believe that education is our power, and that is why we need to fight for it and make it better. Women's rights are so important, and we want to focus on legislation that lifts up women's rights and make sure that everybody focuses on equality and what it really stands for. Pharmaceuticals are an important part as well because pharmaceuticals is not just focusing on the drug offenders that should not be in prison, but also focusing on making sure that everybody has access to the health care that they need. My platform for the program and what I want to do for youth in government is to implement program improvement bills. That these bills will be put through the legislature and, if passed, result in direct change in the program, giving a voice to all delegates, from delegations big to small, and anybody who thinks there should be a change in the program. Thank you. Oh, do you want to go back?
Yeah, I do. So the Sunrise Party really stands for healthcare, racial equality, and the environment. So in terms of healthcare, we want to ensure that everyone, regardless of their background or their socioeconomic status, can access the care they need and be able to live a comfortable life with the support they need from whatever medicine and whatever medical needs they need. In terms of racial equality, we need to be focusing head on the horrible inequalities that exist between racial and ethnic groups, specifically with police brutality and the inequalities that are happening in neighborhoods that are going through gentrification right now. So we really want to focus on housing rights for these people. And finally, in terms of the environment, we need to focus on sustainable, clean energy for our future because we can't talk about any other issues that we love to talk about in YNG until we address the environmental issues that are going to secure a stable future for generations to come. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so the most important part of the Office Party platform that I think is immigration. Although I am not an immigrant myself, my parents are immigrants. They immigrated here from Ethiopia in the 80s, and they came here with nothing. And they're two of the most successful people I know. My dad majored in, he became an electrician, and my mom is a pharmaceutical scientist. And that's incredibly important to me as a person because I realize that immigrants are so important to our society and our communities because America was founded with immigrants. Everybody here is an immigrant basically. So that's one thing that I really think is important, that we do create a better path to citizenship because a lot of people are here to escape their prejudices and create a better future for themselves. What I plan on doing in the program is, if elected, I will add the chairs of all the caucuses to the governor's cabinet. That means flip delegates of color, queer delegates caucus, conservative delegates caucus, and the small delegation caucus. I believe that every delegate has the power to create change in this program, and it's about time that everybody realizes that. And you may be wondering why the Conservative Caucus might be added to the governor's cabinet, although they may not be a minority in our actual
I'm
government.
sorry, your time has elapsed.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
So I'm running with the Launch Party because I want to raise the standard in society and bring YNG to its fullest potential. We run on a platform about labor equality, LGBTQ plus rights, and prison reform. And the thing with prison reform, our prisons are overcrowding, and we are imprisoning people for extended periods of times due to a nonviolent offense. This is not just, this is not right. Here in Youth in Government, there's a couple things I want to do with my platform. My platform is both tangible, realistic, and there are things that I can do for you that will have a lasting impact on this program. The first of which is expanding the Future Leaders Campaign's fundraising efforts. There are way too many delegates in this program being turned away every single year just because they can't pay. Well, our financial situations should not determine whether or not we are able to participate in this program. So I'm going to expand the program so all delegates will be able to participate. Secondly, we waste way too much paper here in Youth in Government, and this issue is almost never addressed. We use bleached paper, which is terrible for our environment, and we use simply too much of it. I want to reduce the amount of paper we use to reduce our carbon footprint and ensure that our environment is protected for the future. Lastly, I would like to create a task force in Sacramento that appoints a group of delegates to lobby our past bills following the MLC. While we're here, our legislature is on recess, so we can't actually lobby our bills to them, so this task force will be able to share our voice to these legislators spread throughout the state after the MLC. Thank you.
Hello again, my name is Matthew Kogan, and I'm running with the Unaffiliated Party. And the beauty of the Unaffiliated Party is that we don't really have a limited platform. Unlike my fellow candidates, our platform isn't restricted to just a few key, mainstream issues. Our platform is open to all issues that delegates want to discuss in youth and government, regardless of its importance or relevance in society. But specifically for my platform in the program, I want to talk about two parts of my platform, which is a career mentor program, which would be someone like a lawyer speaking to the courts or a journalist speaking to the media, and they would talk about their experiences in the real world, and they would educate delegates about their program area and its applications outside of youth and government. And then another thing I want to do is look out for the small delegations. Far too often, the delegates from small delegations can't really make it through the political party system, and they can't really make it through the election process. So I want to make it easier by creating a campaign strategy meeting during training elections 1 and training elections 2 for delegates and small delegations to network with delegates from all across the state to make sure that we all have access to the same resources and the same
I'm sorry,
things.
your time has
Great,
elapsed.
thank you.
All right, so we're gonna get to the questionnaire part of this debate, and so I'm gonna start with the first question. Why did you decide to run with your political party, and how did that shape your platform?
All right, great. So the Sunrise Party, the three topics that we really focus on are three of the most important topics to me. I discussed a little bit about them earlier, but it's almost as if the party kind of read my mind as soon as I heard about these ideas. Healthcare is something that is so important, especially right now, as the Affordable Care Act is being threatened in our legislature without any ideas for replacement on the table right now. And our environment is always the most important issue, as I spoke about earlier, as well as racial justice and racial equality, which has persistently been a problem and a reoccurring issue throughout our nation's history. We can't deny that our nation has been founded and built upon racist institutions, and we need to attack that head on. So in my platform, I plan to, as part of my platform, I intend to lead this program with those values, keeping those issues foremost in my governance. However, it's also important to not limit yourself to those issues, as there is such a wide spectrum of issues affecting our state. I think every single issue that's included in the parties, in all four political parties, are so important and are so valuable to our state. And I agree with most of the stances that are being taken. So, in my opinion, the Sunrise Party's ideas are what I believe are most
I'm sorry,
prominent.
your time has elapsed.
Thank you so much.
Same question.
With the Delta Party, education is the biggest piece, and like I said, it needs to be reformed in ways such as how we implement and make sure that teachers are doing their jobs and making sure that every student is given the opportunity to succeed. I think this also goes along with our standardized test system. I don't think that we should be making students pay just to get into college and to be accepted. Something we should also focus on is how we implement funds for our higher education system. We need to make sure that our public universities are able to take in students of all demographics and all socioeconomic classes, and not just be defined by the score that you get on a standardized test because you weren't allowed and weren't able to pay for it. The other big part would be women's rights. And women's rights, while we think that we have all the same equality, we don't. We still have a wage gap. We still have the differences in the workplace when it comes to women and men, and this should not be occurring. This is 2017. We are here, and we want business. We want to make sure that we are equal and treated equal in the workplace and in society. Pharmaceuticals. We need to make sure that, while we can't fund all of healthcare, we need to make sure that everybody gets the basic necessities that they need. We also need to understand that those who have been convicted for drug offenses, they don't want to be drug offenders. They have a disease, they have an addiction, and it's not their fault, and we should be instead rehabilitating them. My platform, basically so much, this aligns so well with my values. And
I'm
what I
sorry,
do.
your time has elapsed.
Thank you.
So the Office Party has a pretty diverse platform, and I think that's absolutely great because it appeals to a large group of people. Corporate taxes is something that we are focusing on because personally I do think the corporate tax rate in California is too high, and so do many other fellow delegates. And I think when we work together on issues like such, we can come to a solution. Another thing that I'm passionate about, like I said earlier, is immigration, because I would not be here if it weren't for my immigrant parents, and a lot of other delegates wouldn't be here either, because some other delegates are immigrants, and it's really important that we do realize that most of the people coming into this country are good people, and they want to create a better future for themselves, and it's important that we realize that now, because now more than ever it does matter. And another thing our party platform focuses on is clean energy, which as Cole stated earlier is really important because it is important to our environment, because climate change is real, it's happening, and it's about time that we do realize that, and we have to find as many ways to create clean energy as we can. But I'm not limiting myself to those specific platform points. I do believe that there is racial injustice in this country and that needs to be addressed. There is sexism, there is racism, there is homophobia, and that's something that I take very seriously because as a woman of color, I do experience that things, and I think it's really important that we do work together to work towards solutions to these problems. Thank you.
As long as there is injustice in our world, there is more work to be done. And that's why I'm running with the Launch Party, because I know that we stand for justice. You know, you see, there's a question I ask myself. We live in a country that prides itself on protecting the right of its people to express themselves in any way, shape, or form in a free manner, but are we really free? You know, you see rape perpetrators constantly walking free. So are we really free? When a man enters a church and slaughters people of color to start a race war, and 51 people are murdered in a gay nightclub in an act of hate and terror, are we really free? It is time that we see justice in our state. It is time that we see justice in our country, and that's why I'm running with the Launch Party, to bring justice.
I'm running with the unaffiliated party, or I'm running unaffiliated, probably better to say, because really the unaffiliated group of people looks out for the little man in youth and government. We stand not only for the people in small delegations, but we stand for issues of all variety. One of my biggest problems with the political party system is that their party is pretty much determined by their percentage. We don't think in percentages. When we read a document, we don't think, oh, this is 10% of what I'm going to say. You know, we think about a whole range of issues, and that's why I'm running unaffiliated, because this is what we need to, expand in youth and government, the range of issues which we talk about. Thank you.
All right, the candidates have a 30-second chance to rebuttal. Would anyone like to give a rebuttal?
Yes, I would. All right. So about small delegations, I have two things for small delegations. One, I plan on expanding the time that the small delegation caucus is given. That way more candidates are allowed to go and speak and expose themselves more. The second thing I want to do with small delegations is create a small and large delegation partnership. Where at the beginning of the year, the officer teams of both the big delegations and the small delegations that are partnered up will receive the contact information of every advisor and every officer. That way, let's say they have a candidate for Chief Justice while the other delegation doesn't, they'll be able to have easier access to schedule Skypes and delegation visits. That way it's easier for the smaller delegation candidates to get themselves recognized more and exposed more.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
For when it comes to small delegations, I really believe that the ones in small delegations are the ones who know best. I know that I do not come from a small delegation, but from visiting so many different delegations of different sizes, I've come to know that you guys are the ones with the knowledge on how to expand and how to expand your voices that you guys want to hear. That's why I want to implement program improvement bills, because you guys are the ones who should be making the change. Thank you.
Yeah, so similar to what Sydney said, I learned so much from visiting so many small delegations throughout my campaign. And when I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of them were really excited about my idea for a small and large delegation exchange program. So making it really easy for delegates from large and small delegations that are near each other to visit the meetings of each other and see what they're doing, meet new people, learn some new campaign strategies, and just generally bridge the gap that exists between the sizes of delegations.
All right, thank you. Okay, to the next question. 1/3 of delegates require financial assistance. How would you make sure people who need financial aid would continue to get it?
Should I start?
Yes.
So this is my main priority. This is one of the main reasons I am running for youth governor. As youth governor, you're the chair of the Future Leaders Campaign, which is the statewide campaign that raises most of the money for statewide financial aid that comes from the Cal YMCA program. So I want to work to expand not only the amount of fundraisers in this program. A lot of people in this program don't even know that the campaign exists, and it could add a lot to the funds that are being raised. I also want to diversify the means by which we are raising money. I think we should reach out more to nonprofit organizations, other benefactors that are really interested in youth empowerment and can use the tools they have to really help us succeed and make this program more accessible. I also want to work with individual delegations, because I know that most delegates who require more than around 20% financial aid receive most of their aid from their branch. So I want to make sure that every delegation is providing avenues to receive financial aid. There are some delegations that every single delegate is receiving financial aid from an outside benefactor that they're in touch with. So I want to make it my priority to connect more delegations with organizations like that, and make it so regardless of what delegation you're coming from, you can receive the financial aid that you need to be part of this program. Because no one should be excluded from this program because of financial barriers that they cannot control. Thank you.
As someone who's a part of the Future Leaders Campaign, along with the rest of us, I see the importance that it comes to our program and our delegations. I see that each dollar counts, and each person who's able to come into this program diversifies it and makes it even better. Something I also want to expand the Future Leaders Campaign and make sure we have as many campaigners as possible, because that is how we're going to get as many people in our program as possible. I know that our program has a cap in the amount of size and the people that we can take in, and that's struggling to deal with, but it is a fact. So I want to expand our SpringCon convention, because I went there and I saw how amazing it was and how empowered I was and how many different delegates could come. The SpringCon convention is low in cost. We stay in a YMCA in Corcoran, California, and it's about $70 to stay there with the transportation. I believe that we can bring in more people to enjoy the YNG experience by reaching out to different organizations, schools, and other places and people that can't afford the program, and make sure that they still can be a part of YNG and still experience it, and make sure that SpringCon's not extra. Make sure that it is a part of YNG. Thank you.
So I am part of the 1/3 of delegates that are here on financial aid, because I wouldn't be here without it. And I think it's really important that every delegate and people who aren't even in the program realize that they have the opportunity regardless of the amount of money that their family makes, because that shouldn't determine whether or not you get to experience this amazing program. I'm pretty sure, like everybody else here, I want to expand the Future Leaders program to nonprofits and other organizations across the community, because a lot of businesses in the communities will be interested in donating if they know about it. Because I know when I told people, would you like to donate to my Future Leaders campaign, that doesn't really tell them what that is. And I feel like if we have representatives within YNG that go out to these businesses in our communities and actually talk about what it is and explain what they do and what the money goes towards, they're going to be more likely to donate. Another thing I want to do is have a delegation competition, but aside from the Future Leaders campaign. So at the beginning of the year, let's say the first meeting a delegation has, they'll bring up the topic of it, and then they'll fundraise money for Fresno 1, and then they'll fundraise money for Fresno 2, and Sacramento. That way, at the end, they'll have a lot of money donated and fundraised within that delegation, and it'll be a competition sort of thing. So they'll have an incentive, and they'll be more likely to do it. Another thing I want to do is have representatives from people that were in the Future Leaders campaign from previous years go to delegations in their area and talk about what it is and get delegates to sign up, because it is such an important campaign, and I'm incredibly proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Making youth in government ultimately affordable and accessible for everybody is my absolute priority as youth governor. I spent my past summer interning at the JVS Scholarship Foundation, where I learned the ins and outs of fundraising, and I learned exactly how to start a fundraising initiative in a place such as youth in government. The first thing I want to do is start the fundraising efforts much earlier in the year, so we have a lot more time to fundraise. Secondly, I want to raise awareness for the Future Leaders campaign. Not enough people know what it is. When I was branching out to get team members for my team, which is currently the top fundraising team, it was hard to explain to them what it was because they've never even heard of it before. Nobody knows about the fundraising efforts. People in this program want to fundraise, they don't know how, and they don't know the opportunities to fundraise. And lastly, one of the biggest issues we have right now is that we're not contacting outside sources. There are businesses that are interested in fundraising for this program, but we're not making the extra effort to go contact them. So that's going to be my absolute priority. Thank you.
So obviously, as we talked about in all our responses, fundraising is an integral part of this program, and not only is the Future Leader campaign important for fundraising on the statewide level, I also want to encourage, as Sanait said, fundraising on the delegation level, on the more local level. When delegations get to reach out to their communities and have little fundraisers, whether it be a bake sale, car wash, whatever, something like that, not only does it obviously raise funds for delegates to join and be a part of the program, but it involves people with the community, and it can bring all sorts of outside opinions, outside people, and get a whole range of people involved with youth in government, much more than the Future Leader campaign. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for a 30-second rebuttal. Would anyone like to give one? No? On to the next question. What is the difference between an Australian and British accent, and can you do an example?
Okay.
So there's a guy in our delegation, Dimitri. He's from Australia. I don't think I can pinpoint what the difference between a British accent and an Australian one is. I'm not going to do one because that's just going to ruin all chances of me winning. But I think a British accent probably sounds more like professional and more serious. An Australian accent, to me, always sounds more like adventurous and more like playful, I guess. Yeah.
I'm going to completely embarrass myself here. I do completely agree. I think Australian accent is more adventurous. When I think of Australia, I often think of the outback and go like, crikey man! I just kind of think of that. And when I think of the British accent, I kind of think of like, it's time for a cup of tea, which is so not a British accent, but it's the closest I can get because I'm not too good with accents. Thank you.
So I can't really distinguish the differences, but I think it's really funny how people in like the UK say garage and they say loo, and I was like, what's a garage? I don't have a garage. That doesn't really make sense to me, but I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Australian accent, I cannot do one. I will embarrass myself if I try. I know what a kangaroo is. That's in Australia, so that gives me some points. But I cannot do an Australian accent. But both accents are pretty cool. So.
I love accents. I think they're so interesting and so unique. For me, when I think of a British accent, I always revert back to Harry Potter and how they talk and kind of that old-timey sound. And then Australian, I watched H2O Mermaids as a kid. I don't know if you guys did. But it was literally my life. I wanted to be them. So my name is Sydney Costa. I'm from Australia. I like to surf in the water. The fish down there are so vibrant and pretty. And then when I think of a British accent, I think of like Hermione Granger. So Wingardium Leviosa. It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa. Thank you.
I think there's a major difference between an English accent and an Australian accent. I'm not good at either of them. But an English accent is a bit more it's less on the R. There's not as much of a erotic sound as you're getting with the Australian accent. With is a lot more. You're talking about kangaroos, and you go into the barbecue. It's a lot more rounder. You're having a lot more sound here. So there's a major difference, and sometimes parts of, depending on where you're coming from in the United Kingdom or in Australia, it can be a little bit blurry. An interesting fact that I've always heard, I think I saw this in a meme, but if you say rise, up, lights in American English, it sounds like you're saying razor blades in Australian English. So you're saying rise up lights, it sounds like rise up lights, rise up lights. I don't know, I think that's super cool. That's my answer, I guess.
Well, you guys have a chance for a 30-second rebuttal, but I don't think we're gonna need that one. Okay, for the next question, why are you running?
I'm running for youth governor because I know that I can impact this program to make it a better and more equitable place for everyone. I didn't have the self-confidence to run for this position until a couple months before I made the decision to run. And I was empowered by some of my close friends that I am able to do this and I am able to put myself out there. And I think that's the same exact empowerment that causes so many people to grow so much from this program. So, I'm an example of this, and there's just so much of this program that is so important and so valuable to everyone, and I think we all agree on that. But I know that through the experiences I've had, through the leadership that I've done in the past, and the ideas that I have for this program, I'm capable of making this program a better place for everyone, and I'm capable and qualified to lead it in a way that it will be better than it's ever been before. So thank you.
This is kind of a story, but back in the 5th grade, I was dragged to a charity dinner, and it turned out to be a YMCA charity dinner. And the 64th Youth Governor, Matt Tick, was speaking. And he was, as a 5th grader, I just looked up in awe at him, and just the inspiration he had inside of that made me inspired, and everything the change that he was making in a program I had no idea about. I stood up and I said, how can I join this program? They told me to wait, so I joined in 6th grade in the Model United Nations program, and from there, my entire world changed. Everything that I did was now because of youth in government. My passion, everything, this is my passion. This program is everything to me. I see the change that each delegate feels when they step into the room. And while we come here not knowing what we're getting into, we come back knowing why we are here. And that's what I want to keep going in our program. I want to give the power back to the delegates. I want you guys to be making the decisions in our legislature that influence this program, because this is a program made for the delegates, and it's constantly built for the delegates and will constantly be rebuilt. As our program is fluctuating, I want you guys to be the ones that are deciding what this program is about and what it means to you. And I really want you guys to just understand that you can do anything because of this program. Thank you.
So why am I running? I'm running for you because when I started this program my freshman year, I saw Lena Gavanis up on stage giving her speech at joint session, and I said, whoa, that's a woman, and that's what I am. And she's up on stage speaking in front of almost 4,000 people and absolutely killing it. And at that time, I didn't realize how important representation is, but now I do, and that's exactly why I am running. As a woman of color, I didn't have the people that I could look up to when I was growing up, and I think it's really important that people realize that regardless of what you look like, believe, or stand for, you have a voice and your voice matters. And I want to help you realize that, because when I saw Taylor Holmes get elected, I lost it. Because to see somebody that looks like me so successful in this program and such a powerful figure is honestly such an amazing experience, to be able to see that and realize that I can do that and I am able to, and that's exactly why I'm running, because I want to make sure everybody realizes that they can do what they plan on in this program. Thank you.
I've let myself be a victim of the effects of Crohn's disease for most of my life. I never thought that I would be able to go find my voice. But then when I entered this program last year and I heard Ariana Trujillo speak about the challenges that she was able to overcome and to get to where she is right now, I knew that if she could overcome her challenges, I could overcome my challenges. And I want to spread that throughout all of youth in government, to show everybody that you can find your voice here in this program, that no matter how much pain you've been through, you can start to recycle that pain and use it for the better. You can start to find your voice. So I want to empower people, I want to inspire people, and I want to encourage everybody to tell your stories, because your stories defines who you are, and you can choose anything that defines you. Don't let society make a construct for you. Don't let society tell you who you are, what you want to do. You can choose all of that for you. And I want to make sure that all delegates know that they can be unique and that what they are is amazing.
So, why I ran for youth governor kind of stems into two categories, probably my personal reasons, and then in terms of the program. So my personal reasons, this is probably the biggest, like learning experience I'm ever going to experience in high school. Just being able to go up and learn how to speak in front of people, learning how to, reach out to people and get my ideas across. That's always something that I've wanted to do, and throughout my campaign, I'm very happy that I've been able to do that. So I think I've accomplished, one part of my why I ran for youth governor. And then in terms for the program, in my 3 years in the program, I hate to say it, but I've realized that this program is not perfect. There are there are flaws in almost every program area, and so with my experience in leadership in the program area, and my experience with my leadership in the delegation, and my experience with just talking to my friends, I wanted to set out and see how I can fix this program and make it as efficient, as productive as possible.
Thank you. Now time for a 30-second rebuttal. Would anyone like to speak? Okay, we're on to the next question. If you were able to create a new program area, what would it be based on?
Let's go back this way.
Whoever wants to start.
Or is that fine in the middle?
You can start.
Change it up.
It's a hard one.
Okay, so if I could start a new program area, I would start the Environmental Protection Agency, because I think it's really important, going off of my party platform and my personal beliefs, that we do have to find new ways for clean energy, and that we do need to take care of our environment, because climate change, like I said earlier, is real and it's happening, and it's important because we have the power to make laws in this program, and I think it's really important that we take advantage of that fact. And working together to create solutions for climate change and alternate ways to clean energy is ultimately what I plan on doing if this new program area was created.
Okay, that was good.
So we work so hard on the statewide bills that we pass in our Senate and Assembly and that are signed by our youth governor, and they should never be going to waste. I hope that we can make a program area that takes the bills passed by the youth governor in the previous year and reevaluates them and tries to put as much of their effort in choosing which bill or bills that they should send and lobby in our own state legislature, and which ones we should focus on and pushing through our actual state legislature. I think that this is a great way for us to make sure that our bills are actually put to use, because our voices matter, and this is our government too. We aren't just modeling our government, we are acting as a government for the youth. Thank you.
So Senite brought up the idea of a California EPA program area, which I absolutely support. It's something that's already been brought up by delegates and has actually already been planned out by numerous people of how it could be implemented and what it could be modeled off of and how it would be inserted into the program. So I really want to build upon those delegates' efforts to make the ideas that have already been envisioned become a reality. Aside from that, because I think we've heard a lot of people talk about this EPA idea, another issue that I would try to advocate for as a program area is a Department of Justice, because I think it's important to expand upon our court program, especially making sure there's more leadership opportunity within the court program. So having a Department of Justice that can examine what's really going on in our court system and how to make it better would be a great addition to what already exists within the court program. Thank you.
So I also agree with Senite and Cole. We do need to establish something like the EPA. We talk about all sorts of environmental issues, and this is just a very simple and clean solution, and it would be a great program area for the following years. But I think also before we start talking about creating new program areas, we need to expand on some of the smaller program areas in the program, programs like Board of Education and Department of Finance, where they go through Sacramento and the results of their program area kind of stay within their program area. So if we can expand those bubbles and incorporate them with the larger program areas like Senate Assembly, NIC, and the courts, and work to create something like an International Court of Justice, which is already in the works, and incorporate that with other program areas. I think we need to work on that first before really we start adding new program areas into youth and government.
Every year, I see amazing bills in youth and government. Every year, I see bills that I know could truly make an impact in our state, could truly better our state, and bills that will express our voice, because we are the youth and we know what we want to see for the future of our state. But every year after they get signed by the youth governor, I never see them having an effect on our state. They end up sitting in a pile, picking up dust, and that is not what our voice is about. So what I want to do in youth in government is create a task force that will appoint a group of delegates to lobby or pass bills to state legislators after the MLC, when the state legislators are available for reviewing and analyzing our bills. I want this program to also legitimize the bills to make sure they're as professional as possible, so they have the greatest chance of making an effect in our state. Thank you.
All right, would anyone like to rebuttal? No? Okay, let's start from the beginning with the next question. What political figure embodies you and why?
A current political figure?
Any time.
My go-to answer is Justin Trudeau. He's the current Prime Minister of Canada, and he's someone who stands up and fights for progressive values. He's established a 50-50 gender ratio within his cabinet. He's accepted refugees into Canada and made it a safe place for people who are in desperate need for a home. He's provided the nation with leadership that is exemplary for the world, and especially in a time like right now, where we're seeing a very different style of leadership in our country, he's someone who inspires me that progressive politics are what's moving us forward and are what our future needs to entail, and what we need to continue to pursue in our government. And I try to embody the values that he uses and the values that he stands for as much as I can in my actions as well.
If you guys went to QDC and Flip on one of the first days of the conference, an Assemblymember Egmont, I believe is her name, she was speaking and she spoke to me because she was the one of many firsts. She was the first lesbian outed person to run as a candidate and to win between Oregon and Central California. This is a precedent because she said, I cannot be a candidate if I'm not my full self. And this struck me because that is so true. You cannot be representing anybody if you are not your honest self. And I believe that she is somebody who is embodying change and progressivism and making sure that she's representing everybody who doesn't feel that they are represented. And I feel like she is doing a great job in our state assembly and that we should all strive to be like her.
Okay, so somebody I look up to is Shirley Chisholm. If you follow me on my campaign Instagram, I posted about her, but she was the first female to be nominated to run for president in a major party, the Democratic Party, and the first black female to do so. And that's so important because firsts are incredibly important, and I will admit that, but it's important that we're not only first, but we're focused on being door openers and continue to do that and not be gatekeepers, because it's really important for everybody to realize that they can follow in these footsteps and they can even do better than what they have, because you learn from history. You say, they did this, I can do this too. It's 2017, it's not 1975 or years like that, because we are capable of doing so much more regardless of what we look like, regardless of what we believe. And it's really important that we do realize that, because there are so many people that were the firsts, and that helps us be able to do whatever we want to do now.
I'm going to agree with Cole here. The Canadian Prime Minister right now, in a world that seems so dark and scary, is this last spark of hope that we see in our society. When people are saying, no, you can't come into our country, he's saying, yes, come on in, let's treat you well, let's give you the opportunity to be successful. Here in the United States right now, I'm almost embarrassed to be here when we are not letting people have the ability to live a successful life. We are not treating people with the love of humanity in our hearts, and it is terrible what we are doing right now. And the Canadian Prime Minister, I think, is the absolute opposite of what is going on in the United States right now. He is treating people with humanity, because humanity applies to all people. And it is time that we start to treat people with respect and give them the opportunity to live a successful life. We can't just shut these people out and expect them to become better people necessarily if we're not going to give them the opportunities to become better people.
I'd say the politician I'd most identify with is Elizabeth Warren. Though I obviously can't identify with her strides as like a woman in the government, I do recognize her amazing ability to speak on a range of issues regarding the people, her constituency, and obviously herself. But really what stands out the most with Senator Warren is that she's not afraid to stand up for her beliefs. During the Women's March and all of the protests after Donald Trump's elections, she was out there. She was in airports after during the the whole thing with the Muslim ban and the travel ban and stuff like that. And so she's very open about her beliefs, she's bold, she's confident, and she's not afraid to get things done in government. And that's something that I really think is important for a public figure to have.
All right, thank you. Does anyone want to rebuttal that?
Just a quick thing. Going off of Elizabeth Warren, you should watch some of her interviews on YouTube because they are so funny and she absolutely roasts anybody she's talking to. So I just wanted to put that out there as a suggestion. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. Last question. What are your guys' views on Donald Trump's current attempt of the travel ban? We
Am I
can
starting?
start
Okay.
at the front over here.
Okay. I think it's inexcusable. I think that if you're going to, it's absolutely inexcusable to ban a specific group of people from doing anything under any circumstance. A label that someone identifies with can never be something that bars them from participating in something, from going somewhere, or essentially just being painted under a broad brush is never how our government or honestly any system should function. There are so many incredible, inspiring, amazing Americans and people from other countries who are Muslim, who are from the 7 countries that were listed in this ban. And to ban these people from coming to America does not make us safer, does not make us any more successful. It undermines the identity of what this country stands for and what it means. Especially because the countries that were banned have in the past 10, 20 years never had any sort of attacks or terrorism incidences on American soil. So it's clear to me that this ban was not for safety purposes, but rather for xenophobic purposes and a fear of an unknown and a fear of a constructed enemy based on a difference in ideology and a difference in race and ethnicity. So it really stands for the...
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you so much.
The thing that scares me most is the precedent that he's trying to set. Showing that he wants to stop these certain groups of people from coming just shows that he has some prejudice against them, and it's making America look bad, and that is not who we are. The majority of America, that is not who we are, that we don't believe that we should keep these people out because they are a part of us. I was talking to my friend in psychology class, and he's from Iran. His dad is a doctor in Iran and comes back, and they both have their legal citizens. His dad is a doctor in Iran, and because he can't work in the US, he works in Iran and comes back. His dad now is unable to come back during that time because he was in Iran working to help his family while they were living here. I think that there's so many different stories, and hearing what people have to say and how it affects them, just knowing that it is unexcusable. We cannot be shutting people out who are valuable parts to who we are as Americans and our values, and I don't think that he is representing America in the way that we should be, or setting a good example for the rest of the world and how they should also be assimilating these same people.
So first off, it's not a travel ban, it's a Muslim ban, and I think that actually needs to be said. Regardless of what you may have heard, it's clearly a Muslim ban. And a lot of the times the argument against that is that the countries on the list are not really all the Muslim countries in the world. Yes, but that does not justify his actions in any way. And I think it's important that we do realize that, because people are trying to come into our country to escape the prejudices that they faced in their home country. And we have to realize that a lot of these people are good people, and we have to at least let them into the country and have a better path for citizenship, because immigration is something that's so important to me and something that I'm a strong believer of. Trump's actions is in no way reflective of what all Americans believe. Although there are some Americans that do agree with him, that doesn't mean his actions are in any way correct or acceptable, because they're not. Personally, I have Muslim friends, and one of them was going to the airport, and his mom was talking to him, and he had a conversation with his mom, and his mom told him to be careful because he was going to the airport and everything that was going on right now. And I think that's absolutely terrifying, because if I was going to the airport and I was a Muslim, I wouldn't want to live in the fear that I might not be able to come back into this country, because that is their home country and they do live here. There are good people. And I think it's really important that we realize that his views do not reflect the views of every person in this country. Thank you.
The ban is unjust, the ban is inhumane. I think that right now his actions are deplorable. We are treating these people like they're cattle. We are treating these people like they aren't human. But these are people who have families, these are people who love, who think, who have souls, just like everybody else. These are people who want to live a successful life, And if we are not letting them have that opportunity, who are we as a country anymore? This is not the country I know, and right now we're not headed in the right direction. We need to readjust our agenda and make sure that we are letting everybody in this country, because that is the American dream. That is the real American dream. That is what America is about. It is time that we start letting people into our country to live a successful life. We see the same issue, to me, with homeless people. We are not giving them the opportunities to live a successful life. You know, they can't get a job if they don't have a place to live, but they can't get a place to live if they don't have a job. And our government has failed us, our Congress has failed us in their efforts to help these people, also with the travel ban.
I think this travel ban, obviously we've talked about the moral side and the personal side of people's stories and how they can't come back even though they're citizens. Above all else, this travel ban has been shown to be unconstitutional. Multiple court cases across the country and multiple airports and stuff like that have been standing up and speaking out against this travel ban because it goes against the Constitution, it goes against American ideals, and it goes against inherent American values and beliefs. And so this travel ban really was intended for Donald Trump and himself. It does not benefit the United States. It does not it does not ensure security for the United States or its citizens. It really just excludes a large population in the country, and it excludes refugees and, including, as Cindy brought up, citizens of this country.
All right, guys, we don't have time for rebuttal, but I'm going to do a few rapid-fire questions. So I'm just going to ask one of you guys a random question. Sydney, what would be your first act as youth governor?
As youth governor, I would implement program bills and making sure that when the advisors have their first meeting before we even meet as delegations, that they know that their delegates can write a bill and make sure that they know that they can change the program themselves. I think the awareness of making sure that they know that program bills are available will be the biggest step in changing our program for the better.
Thank you. All right, Jeremy, how does your platform relate to the work you do in your community?
In my community, like I said, I am an active fundraiser. I'm currently fundraising for the fight against Crohn's and colitis, which I'm currently a victim of. And I've been fundraising my whole life. I've been involved with nonprofits and these type of organizations, also with JDRF. So the first thing I'm going to do as youth governor is implement my fundraising strategies into youth and government to make sure that everybody can afford this program and no longer will delegates be turned away.
Thank you. All right, Cole, how did you create your platform?
I created my platform through, one, examining my experiences in youth and government and asking myself, what is something that I would like to see different? But more than that, as I branched out from that, I've only experienced so much of this program, and I, as the youth governor, will be representing everyone here. So I made an effort to speak to as many delegates, former and current, about their program areas, their experiences, to see what the issues were that they faced, what they believe should be changed. I spoke to a lot of people who have served in leadership positions before. I'm good friends with one of the former governors, Nicholas Gardner, and Julia Kahn, his chief of staff. So I talked to them about what their administration was like, the challenges they faced, the things that they didn't get to fix that they wanted to, and the changes that they want to see moving forward, leaving the program. So the relationships that I've made, the conversations I've had, I spent most of this campaign talking to other people and asking them, what is something that you'd like to see changed in this program? And almost every single portion of my platform has been implemented from what I've heard from other delegates. So yeah, thank you.
All right, last rapid fire question. What makes you qualified to be youth governor, Matthew?
Thank you, everyone. What makes me qualified to be youth governor? Well, I've held a range of leadership positions in youth and government. My freshman year, I served as the Forum Chief Clerk of the Assembly, and last year I served as a committee chair in the legislative houses. So not only has this given me experience in presiding over youth and government, but it's also taught me something about servant leadership, and that's something that's very important for a youth governor to have. It's important to understand that I'm not working for myself or my cabinet or even the staff in this program. I'm working for you, the people in youth and government. I have this phrase, I came up with it the other day, I'm working for the people and with the people. And that's the most important part about being a youth governor, being able to center yourself and understand that your actions are for the better purpose and for the betterment of this program and the people in youth and government. Thank you.
All right, so last question for everyone. What is an issue you would like to challenge on any of your fellow candidates? And we could start with you.
An issue I'd like to challenge on?
Yeah.
Could you specify that?
It could have to do with their platform or anything you said in like past
Well,
meetings.
again, this is something that I've just been talking about throughout my campaign, that the political parties really suppress the drive of delegates from small delegations, and they also suppress, as I said this in our speech, our sense of curiosity, and they limit our discussion. So I'd like to challenge my candidates to, discuss this further and talk about how, even though they're in a political party, how they can reach out to those who are obviously disenfranchised by the political party system.
Yeah,
I
we
could
can
respond.
pass it on to
Okay.
whoever wants to speak.
Whoever wants to respond.
Yeah.
Whichever direction.
Okay.
So my immediate response to that, so when I decided that I wanted to run for youth governor, there was a lot of talk, especially after, Ariana Trujillo being elected as an unaffiliated candidate, about the party system and what it means and what it does and if it's really helpful. So, I considered running unaffiliated because I had heard a lot of people expressing issue with the party system, but after talking with people, I mentioned Julia Kahn earlier, but I was talking with her. She's one of the few people I know in recent years who's progressed to the top, as a top 5 youth governor candidate from a small delegation. Her delegation has about 25 people. And I asked her about, as someone from a small delegation, what are the political, what is your, opinion on the political party system? And she said to me, she didn't believe that she could have made it through to the top 5 without the political party system supporting her and giving her that this increased field of support from more than just her delegation, who was extremely supportive of her, but having a team of people under you who's working for you and having that support was really invaluable for her. So I think if we can adapt the political party system to make it even more accessible and more of a support system for small delegations and candidates from small delegations, I think that's a purpose they can serve. If I can bring up another point, something that I'd like to challenge, I guess, another youth governor candidate, a fellow candidate. So tonight you've talked a lot about appointing the leaders of our delegation caucuses to the governor's cabinet. So I am all for increased diversity and increased more perspectives on the cabinet and when you're advising on bills. But I'm interested in why you think that putting people who are in these leadership positions within these caucuses who might have interest in other program areas or other positions within the program on the governor's cabinet, because that is a full program area and a full-time job.
So thank you for asking that. But since they would not be applying for that, they would be automatically appointed. It wouldn't be their full priority. So they still would be able to do other program areas. And I do think it's really important that we do increase the diversity in this program. And if they wouldn't like to, we could also have an opt-out where a different delegate in that caucus would be able to step up and take that position. Because small delegation caucus, a lot of the times you don't see your delegates represented in this program as well as they should be. And I think it's really important that they realize that they can do this, because the size of your delegation should determine how far you go in Y&G. And conservatives caucus, they're not a minority in actual government, but in youth and government they are. And I think a concern I heard from them is that they didn't think they were represented as much as they should be in this program. So by adding them to the governor's cabinet, I think I'll be increasing their say in the program, and they'll realize that, oh, I can do this. And if somebody else sees somebody that has the same beliefs as them and looks like them in that position, they'll realize and they'll be more inspired to say run for a position or apply for a position.
All right, Sydney or either one.
I just had one point of clarification, was that you said you wanted to fundraise within the delegations and have a competition, but something that scared me was that small delegations would always be at the end of that, because without the numbers to raise, if everybody in a big delegation brought $1, they already had 200. But if a small delegation, if everybody brought $1, they would have 20. And I know that we can fundraise efforts and just the amount of effort you put in, but I think it would just alienate those who were trying to win the competition.
Do I get a?
Yeah.
Okay, so the competition was just a fresh idea I just popped out right now, but but what I would do to solve that problem is separate it based on the size of your delegation. So smaller delegations, because they would be at a disadvantage, would have let's say a goal to reach that would be reachable, and larger delegations, let's say with over 60 people, would have then a higher goal to reach, and then out of those two categories, whoever raised that most money would then have that prize in the competition.
I'm not attacking you. I don't want to seem like everyone's just attacking the program. But something I think that, to me, something very important you think of from is the government cabinet. They're the ones they're reviewing our bills. And I know you said it's more just like a part-time thing. They can also do a program area. But I think it's important that it is a full-time job, because they are reviewing our bills. And if our bills are to be legitimate and be reviewed by state legislature, they need to be as good as possible. We cannot be sending these crazy bills sometimes, like the Death Star bill, just in case. We cannot be saying these bills out to the legislature to make sure that we are still being legitimate, and also to incorporate small delegations into the governor's cabinet. I'm going to make sure to appoint delegate to come. Also, in my governor's cabinet, some of the cabinet members will be from small delegations to ensure that there's a diversity of cabinet members. Too often you see them all being from SoCal or big delegations, and I think it's time that the governor's cabinet is diverse.
Do I get a reply to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, appointing the chairs of the caucuses to the governor's cabinet would not take away from the fact that there still would be an appointed governor's cabinet, and that would be their main priority, because as of now, there are 2 people in a from small delegations that are in the governor's cabinet, and I think that's really important. I like your idea that you expand on that. So there still would be the appointed governor's cabinet, and that would be their full thing. And then the chairs that would be appointed would then be able to participate in the program area and then be a part of the governor's cabinet.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're gonna finish up with everyone getting a quick 1-minute ending kind of speech, a closing statement. It can start here at the beginning.
So yeah, my name is Cole Cahill. The one thing I really want to express to anybody watching this is that as the youth governor, it's my goal to represent everybody in this program. Even if you decide not to vote for me, even if you disagree with me on my political issues, I want to represent you, and as the youth governor, that is my job. So regardless of your ideological beliefs, regardless of what delegation you come from, if you have another, if you're from a delegation who has another candidate, if I'm elected, I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to support you and lead this program in a way that works for everyone and creates the best experience for everyone here. And I hope that's shared with everyone here. But that is really, really my main priority moving forward. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you again to everybody still watching and interested in being an informed voter on our candidates today. But I really just want to make sure that you guys know that this program is for you, and as youth governor, I want to make sure that you guys are the ones who are making the change in our program, and I want to be the ones listening to you, of course, because everybody should be represented. Everybody has an input and a voice that should be in their movement and be guaranteed in this program. Another thing is my platform is very much so tangible change, making sure that everything that I put out for us can be completed in the 1-year term a youth governor can serve and can outlast for the ends of the program. I want to make sure that this political activism as a part of delegation of distinction. I want to make sure that the court representative on the youth board has had 2 years of court experience to ensure that they can equally represent the court program and give the representation that it needs. And then I want to make sure that everybody has their voice heard through program improvement bills. Thank you.
Hey everyone, once again, I'm Sinai Tasso, running to be your 70th Youth Governor. Thank you for watching. If you didn't listen, cool, but thank you for watching. I just want to say that I hope I answered the questions to your, not to your liking, but to the best of my ability, and that you got an idea more of who I am and who I am as a candidate. And regardless of who wins, regardless of who you vote for, I just want to thank my fellow candidates because I have the utmost faith in all of you, and I know whoever wins will do the job to their greatest ability. And once again, thank you for watching, and remember to vote, because regardless of who you vote for, like I said, it's important that you still vote or register with a party or unaffiliated party group if you want. So thank you once again. My name is Sinai Tasso, running to be your 70th Youth Governor.
My name is Jeremy Becker from the Westside Family YMCA, and I'm running with the launch party to serve as your 70th Youth Governor. What I want to do here at Youth Governor is make sure that everybody has the opportunity to find their voice. And beyond the fundraising, once they're actually in the program, I wanted to make this a more comfortable place where people have the ability to speak. I know there's so many delegates, including myself last year, that were simply afraid to get up and speak. They just didn't know how to public speak. They're shaking on stage or they're really nervous. And I suffer from these things all the time. It's scary to speak in front of so many people in this program. So I want to have more sessions where people can learn how to public speak, get advice from candidates. We held a session earlier and it was fantastic. We were giving advice on how to public speak, and I heard delegates afterwards saying how helpful that was. And I think we need more of those type of things. So I want to make this a comfortable place where all delegates can express their voice. Once again, my name is Jeremy Becker from the Westside Family YMCA, and I'm running with the launch party to serve as your 70th Youth Governor.
My name is Matthew Kogan from the West Valley Delegation of One Love, running unaffiliated to serve as your 70th Youth Governor. So if you guys take anything away from this debate, let it be that this program is not as perfect as we often talk about it to be. We really do need to start getting real with youth in government. We need to add a sense of realism and a sense of unity in this program, and I'm confident in my abilities and in any one of the candidates' abilities to do so. And just as a little selfless plug, I have a wonderful campaign video on YouTube. Just look up Matthew Kogan for Youth Governor. It's shot in the style of Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom. Beautiful movie. I have a Facebook page, Matthew Kogan for 70th Youth Governor, and my Instagram is Kogan for Youth Gov. So make sure to check that out. We're going to be putting updates about the platform, the campaign, rallies, voting, all stuff, all sorts of stuff. So thank you so much for having me. And thanks to everyone else. Yeah.
That one last quick statement.
Go for it.
I think that this debate really goes to show that we are not a mock government, we are a model government. This is what I would like to see in the real world. We respectfully, even if we didn't agree with all each other, we respected everything we said. And I know that no matter who's elected, we will be doing a great job. I think it's so important that we are a model government and show the world that this is the future. We can debate respectfully, we can hear other opinions that don't agree with our own, and we can listen to absolutely everybody.
All right. Thank you. Youth in Government is lucky to have all of you. I had a great time. Okay. So guys, where to vote? Sunday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can vote online or at the Hyatt. There's going to be polling stations. We'd like to thank all the advisors and media and the crew who made this debate possible. It was a great time. We all had fun. And follow YNG News to stay updated in Sacramento. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.